And our next guest on tonight is Iles. Edie, I know you've had some amazing stories as well. You've been using this system for years, both you and Karen, and have even been published. We used to publish some of our stories, and the one story that you are going to share tonight is quite a bit in the past, but really powerful on what the system does in building relationships and creating connection.
Yes, as a matter of fact, when you invited me, and I really appreciate the opportunity to be here, but when you invited me, I was like, oh dear, there's so many stories, and it's funny. I get text messages or phone calls almost daily from people that I send cards to. I got a couple of them today, and it's just it's what lights my fire, and it's what keeps me going. But yeah, I've got a couple of great stories, and I'm not a very eloquently word for words. I most of my cards are very short and sweet, but I'm always sending cards with part of my heart. And this particular card I had sent to this friend of mine that I had used to work with years ago in Colorado. I sent this card to her, and about a year after I sent the card to her, she sent me a text message, and she says, "Hi, Edie, I want to thank you again for the card that you sent me about a year ago. It was from a trip to see my dad in Florida. The card had photos of my dad. About 3 weeks ago, our computer crashed and I lost thousands of pictures. Since my dad passed away this week, I was scrambling to find any picture of him that I had, and then I found your card. The card is currently hanging on my refrigerator. Thank you for your thoughtfulness." And that's, that's something that you just can't, there's no price, you can't put a price tag on something like that. It's just, this was she lost all of her pictures from her dad, but she has this one. And we just never know, what an impact our cards are going to have on the recipient. And this was just a very, very special message that she had sent me about the card that I had sent her a year ago. So that's one of my heartfelt cards. This young girl that's on the right of this card, her name is Shandi. And the last time I saw Shandi, she was about 10 or 11 years old, something like that. I was really good friends with her mom and dad, and that's them in the picture as well. And things just happened. We were good friends, but they moved away. We moved away, lost touch with each other. And of course, Facebook was, said Shandi is somebody that I may know. So I made friends with Shandi on Facebook, and we, started the conversation back and forth. And she had posted this picture on Facebook of her and her mom and dad. And it was around Mother's Day. And I sent her I took the picture. I asked her for her mailing address. I sent it to her. And then I received the sweetest message from her. She said, "Happy dance. You are simply the best. I got the happiness you sent yesterday. I can't tell you how much joy you infused with that. It means the world to me that through time, states, husbands, and everything else, our kindred spirits have never wavered from each other. Thank you for loving me back and sharing your beautiful light. Hope you're basking in it too." And when you receive messages like that, it's just, there again, you can't put a price tag on that. I mean, I haven't seen her since she was 10 years old, and she's a woman now. She's 40 something years old now. And the connections that our cards create is invaluable. And it means more to me. Every day it means more to me than it does to the people that I send them to. But one of the things that I do when I send out my heartfelt cards, even though, I don't have these beautiful, elegant words to put on the cards, a piece of my heart goes with it. And I always imagine what the recipient is going to see or feel when they receive the card. if they've never received a card from me before, I know that they're going to be curious. You know, their curiosity is up, and it's like, what am I getting this card for? And then when they open it, hopefully, you know, they have a warm feeling and a smile on their face. But I know that if I've sent them cards before in the past, that all they have to do is look at the envelope, and their heart's going to warm. They're going to have a smile on their face because they know that it's a special gift from me, and it's from my heart. And that's what I imagine with every card that I ever send out. And that's exactly what it does. It just warms my heart. And I know that I'm putting out good to the world. This next one, I can't promise you that I'm not going to tear up with this one. The picture on the front of the card is me and my aunt and uncle. And I had found out that my uncle had cancer, and they weren't expecting him to live. And I hadn't seen them in a while. So I made a trip, to visit them. And we just had a wonderful time. My aunt is really a character. She loves to cut up and she loves to joke around. And my husband did too. He loved to joke and cut up, and they just hit it off famously. They just had a great time together. She made us a nice lunch, and we looked through old pictures, and it was just a beautiful day that we spent with my aunt and uncle. And of course, as soon as I got home, the first thing I wanted to do was make a nice card and tell her how much I appreciated the time together. My husband was a photographer, so he liked to play around with Photoshop. And he handed me this picture, this ugly picture that you see on the inside. And he told me that he wanted me to put that in the card. And I said, I don't want to put that ugly picture of my aunt in that card. This is a really nice, heartfelt card from me, and I don't want to put that ugly picture. He said, I told her that I was going to really fix her up. And he said, I want you to put that in there. So I did, and I sent the card off to my aunt and uncle. And then a few days later, my aunt called. And she says, she's a country girl, and she says, Ada, I want to tell you about that card we got in the mail. And I'm thinking, oh, she's going to be so upset with me for sending that ugly picture of her. She said that particular day that they received the card, my uncle was not feeling well, and he had been in bed all day. She went out to the mailbox and picked up the mail, and she said he had several cards, get well cards from other people, and she opened them all up and she put them in a stack, and she brought them into the bedroom to see if he wanted to read the cards. And he said no, he just didn't feel like reading the cards that day. She said, well, you have to read the one from Edith. That's what they call me, Edith. So he said okay, and he looked at the card with a nice picture of the three of us on the outside. She said he grinned and nodded his head. And then when he opened the inside of the card and saw that ugly picture of my aunt, she said he just let out a big belly laugh. And then she paused and she said, it's been a long time since I've heard him laugh like that. And I just want to tell you, thank you for the card. And we just don't know the impact that our cards make on people. He died a few months after that, and that's the last time that she ever heard him belly laugh like that. She kept that card on her nightstand for a long time, and every time she looked at it, she thought about him and his big belly laugh. And it's just something that you can't replace. You can't make up those emotions. And our cards are really not only do something for the recipients, but they do something for us. And this card was a long time ago. It was several years ago. I've been in sent out cards for 15 years, and this is probably one of the first cards that I ever sent my aunt. But it's a story that's very touching, and it means a lot to me, and it continues to mean a lot to me. And I always like to share it because I think that people need to understand that our cards are really, really special. It's not just a card, it's a feeling that we get when we give it and when they receive it.
Thank you, Edie, for sharing. I know that story is touching, and every time you tell it, it creates tears. You can tell the impact your uncle and aunt had on you and your life. And you never know the power of the card you're going to send, right? Your first story about how you sent that when you saw that photo on a Facebook, and a year later, she reaches out because of the power. And having lost my parents, if I lost all my photos, I would, keep that card, right? I have cards of people sent me and my parents that are framed. And then the story of your aunt, right? This system is all about connection. And what I love about your stories is it's the connection, but it's also told you who you are, right? And you talked about putting a piece of your heart in every single card, and that you think about that when you send that. And I know that this company has not only connected you with people, but also has connected you with your purpose by acting on your prompting. So thank you so much for sharing your story today.
Thank you.
Thank you.